Headless. A little impromptu video. It's a weird one. Story time. Last night, this is going to go on the video playlist. It's just a story video. Last night, me and my wife were watching we watch these stupid horror movies on TV at night. And we watched this really stupid, ridiculous summer camp slaughter film. And a childhood memory came back to me. And it's a story that it's been in my head, and I need to tell the story. Well, now I need to tell the story because I remembered it last night, and it's an awesome one. So here it goes. Summer camp 1980. I was 11 years old, and every summer for 2 weeks of the summer, my parents would send me to a camp for. It was an integrated camp with disabled people, kids, and regular kids. But the cabins, the sections of the camp were divided, like older boys, younger boys. Disabled were in one cabin section, girls were in one cabin section, and you had the camp and then all the activities that we all integrated and played. So, you know, the typical camp, summer camp thing, whoever participated in summer camp in the 80s, you have the ghost stories. Not particularly fond of ghost stories. So, the ghost stories ensued every night, and it scared the crap out of me. And back then, I was afraid of the dark. When I was 11, I used to sleep with the nightlight on. Now I love the dark. I'm kind of a dark kind of individual. I stopped sleeping with the nightlight until I was 14, something along that line. I used to be deathly afraid of the dark. So anyway, summer camp 1980. There's this gigantic cabin at this camp. It's called Agassiz Village. It's in Portland, Maine. And at the time, it had the largest freestanding cabin ever built. It was in the Guinness Book of World Records. But since then, it's been beaten. Well, we used to go there. We used to go to this big cabin. It was a mess hall. We had dinners there, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And we also had parties. So, one night, we were all at this big, gigantic cabin. And we went to some party, some campwide party. And it was late at night. Not late at night, but like dark. So we were coming back from the big cabin to our cabin. So we're going down this long, narrow road path that had no lights, so you had to use flashlights. So we only had flashlights, and so as we're walking back to the cabin, this is the cabin, and then in the front of the cabin you have like this courtyard area where you had like a tetherball, you had a water fountain. It's where you played shuffleboard and all that kind of stuff. Then you had the cabin, you had the front of the cabin, and behind the cabin you had woods. So as we're approaching the cabin, it was really, really dark. Everybody was there. The council, everybody that belonged in the cabin was present in this large group of people. Probably 40 people, at least, were in this group. All the kids, all the councils. So we're heading toward the courtyard. As we enter the courtyard to the cabin's in front of us. Somebody goes, "Something's wrong." What's that? So immediately, as we're getting closer and closer to the cabin, somebody goes, "What's that?" On the roof of the cabin, reminding you, I'm 11 years old, this is 1980, I believe. Young and impressionable, whatever, darkly. There was a person, or individual, standing on the top of the cabin with no head. walking around on the roof of the cabin with no head. And this individual made a scream, and I don't know how you can make a scream without no head. Immediately, everybody flipped out. The kids are screaming, I'm screaming, everybody's flipping out. The counselors were friggin' panicking. 2 or 3 of the male instructors started walking forward. The person, the individual that was on the cabin roof, jumped off the roof and jumped behind the cabin into the woods and took off. So a couple of the male guy counselors went to go investigate. They shortly came back later, everybody's in a panic, and said they didn't find anything. So we're all flipping out. What the fuck is going on? What the hell was that? So, yeah, it was a prank. We now know it was a prank. It was a good prank, very believable prank. Everybody was in on it. All the counselors were in on it. But the kids were flipping out. Even the older kids were flipping out because it was that real. They did such a good job. It was real, and it was believable. And it was right around the time, I believe, Friday the 13th came out. So they're all kind of in on it. And lo and behold, it's bedtime. So we're tweaking. It just so happened that the part of the cabin where the dude was standing on was the room that I was sleeping in. It was this big giant room, 10 campers, boy campers per room. It was this big long room, and it had windows on both sides, and each bunk was between a window. So it was a bunk, a window, a bunk, and a window. There was 5 bunks on one wall, 5 bunks on the opposite wall. I'm facing the wall toward the woods, the back of the cabin, looking at the windows where the dude jumped off into the woods. At any given time, if something's going to come and get me, I'm done. If something's coming through that window, I was right near the back door of the room. There's a door of the room. It's coming right into the room. I'm done. So I put up my shield. My shield was my sleeping bag. I figured, well, I'm going to go under my sleeping bag. It'll keep the bad mojo out. Wasn't having it. Flipping out, just uneasy, couldn't go to sleep. Everybody else was tweaking. I decided to get up, and because I can't walk, I crawled along the floor of the room to go find a camp counselor. The camp counselors were in their rooms or into the main room. There's this great room attached to the rooms that the kids were in. So if you walk straight down the room, like say you're perpendicular like this, there's a doorway right here, and so I had to crawl the length of the room and then bang a left, and I'm facing the great room of the cabin where everything happens. So, great prank, and it gets better. I'm sitting there on the floor, on all fours, in the crawling position, and now I'm staring through a doorway into the great room, which was dimly lit, like you could barely see stuff in the room. We had a old wheelchair, antique wheelchair, old. And there was a ghost story that it was attached to this chair. And it was a ghost story called Wheelchair Mary. It was I can't recall the story, but it's a lady in an old wheelchair, and it was creepy. So they had this old wheelchair in this room, and the chair was supposedly haunted and moves around by itself. So somebody decided to, all of a sudden, I'm staring there trying to find a counselor without freaking out. All of a sudden, the wheelchair that was in the room flies by the doorway by itself. Is moving by itself across the room. I flip my friggin' mind, start freaking out. I'm bawling my eyes off. And then immediately a counselor, a female counselor, I believe her name was Mary, came out to comfort me because I'm freaking out. And then she calms me down, and then she tells me this really awesome story, and I'll never forget it. It was, she said, I want you to breathe softly, and then close your eyes. I close my eyes, and she says, all that black in there that you see behind your eyes, nothing can get through that blackness. And she says, what I want you to do in your mind, take some nails and make it like you're nailing it into the blackness. Now you're nailing out, you're locking out the bad stuff, the bad guys. I don't want you to concrete, make it like you're putting concrete over the blackness. Now you're adding to the wall, the barrier. And she just went through this awesome story about how to build a wall in your mind to keep out the creepy stuff. And when you're a kid, it really helped. So it calmed me right down. Everything went out the window, went out my head. And she brought me back to my bunk, tucked me into my sleeping bag, like a light. And I bonded with this counselor for the rest of the 2 weeks. And it was just awesome after that. But creepy story, headless dude on a roof, summer camp story. Hope you enjoyed it. It was freaky, it was creepy. True story, really happened to me. Yeah, summer camp story, headless man on a roof. Find your Serene in a mad world. I'm out.